very excited to welcome two powerhouse female marketing leaders to the stage. Please welcome Saima Rashid, the SVP of Marketing and Revenue Analytics at 6 Sense, one of everybody's favorite companies, and Lauren Crichton, Marketing Director at Sauna. And we use Sauna here at Superside. I'm Jen Rapp. I am Chief Marketing Officer here at Superside. Thrilled to be doing this panel. I have a 25-year history of leading marketing and communications for both D2C and now B2B companies. B2B companies have stolen my heart, and I am very passionate about the learnings we're going to be talking about today and how AI is influencing our decisions as marketing leaders in this realm. So to kick it off, a question for both of you. And I'm wondering, and I know this is a long question, but could you tell us a little bit about your roles, your teams, and how you've thought about AI and marketing? And I know that's a very broad question, but also in speaking with both of you about your backgrounds and how you came into your roles, it's actually really cool. And so, Lauren, why don't I start with, Saima, let's start with you, actually.
Okay. All right. Number one, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm so excited to be on this panel with Lauren and Jen, both of you. I'm Saima Rashid. I run marketing at 6 Sense, and I also run analytics at 6 Sense, which is a very unique sort of combination. I have 20 years of experience building and leading analytics teams, and I think the beauty of that is it really has allowed me to use data to lead our strategy, to lead where we should be focusing, where we should be start, stopping, and continue programs. And so everything that we do at 6 Sense really is informed by the data that we use. My team includes, all the traditional marketing functions of product marketing and analyst relations, PR, brand, design, web, but also includes the BDR team, which is phenomenal for me because we have that direct tie in terms of the messaging and the positioning that we're creating, taking that to our first line of where our prospects actually interact with us. And so the BDRs roll up into marketing. It's a great partnership, and it brings us to what we're going to talk a lot about today, which is generating pipeline. And having that connection between marketing and BDRs really allows us to source a ton of pipe for the company.
And amazing. And so today, how are you, just briefly, thinking about AI when it comes to marketing? Does it feel overwhelming? Does it feel exciting? Like maybe just a brief insight there before we move on to Lauren.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting question because 6 Sense is unique in the sense that we are a company that was built on a data foundation, right?
Mm-hmm.
AI is really there from the beginning of when we started. Back 10 years ago, we started with predictive AI to understand which companies are in market. We then moved into incorporating descriptive AI. Why are they in market? What signals are they showing? Turn that into prescriptive AI. So what should your next best action be? Understanding what the data and the signals are telling you. And about 3 years ago, we incorporated generative AI into our product. And so we have been all in on the Gen AI experience. And I will say, we dipped our toes in from a very sort of, point use case perspective. But at this point, it's not so much about lightweight examples of a cool new technology. For us, it is about generating pipeline and having an end-to-end workflow that is run by AI. We have this saying internally, AI that generates pipe, not hype. And we're fully in on it.
I love that. I love that. Lauren, would love to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Jen, and the rest of the Superside team. I'm really excited to be here. And as Jen mentioned, my name is Lauren. I'm responsible for all things marketing at Sana. And we think quite a lot about AI and marketing because Sana is itself an AI company. We were founded in Stockholm in 2016 with this beautiful mission to transform how organizations learn and access knowledge with artificial intelligence. And some of you might have spotted us on this year's Forbes AI 50, which we were really proud of. So our approach to AI within marketing is similar to, I would say, all of the functions in the organization, which is pretty open, experimental, and organic. So there is no dedicated AI strategy within the individual functions. We're simply using and exploring AI extensively and primarily through our own AI products, much like Saima is doing as well. So we have our learning platform and our knowledge assistant. And like any product first company, we want to build products that we love and that are indispensable. So we are dog fooding everything, and everyone in the company is using our two products daily. I think when it comes to the question of phases specifically within AI and marketing, I think it's important to remember that we're really all just at the beginning of this new era. And to Saima's point about hype, I mean, 2023 was a wild year. We were in this frenzy, it was all that anybody could talk about. And I think that the risk of getting sucked into the frenzy is that we prematurely assume that we know what we're doing and how these tools can best serve us. And this is something that Jakob Uskereit, who I think he's one of the inventors of the transformer, he reflected on this recently. He said he thought that we had prematurely jumped from the exploration phase of AI to the exploitation phase. And I do agree with this. I think, you see even the world leading researchers who've developed these LLMs still not fully understanding how certain things work. So I think this is a very special time, and I think we should also relish the exploration phase that comes with it.
It's a really nice way to put that. Speaking on, Saima, you made a point about like, what is our AI strategy? And then Lauren, you said 2023 was like the year of the AI craze. And last year I worked for a company called Klaviyo. We were one of 3 companies that IPO'd in 2023. And obviously IPO, huge moment for the company. One of the big questions we would get from the media was like, okay, what's your AI strategy? Like, as we were going public, like everyone just wanted to know, what is your AI strategy? Without really even thinking about like, what is AI strategy? What does that even mean? And our point was very similar to yours, Saima, is that like AI is what we like. Klaviyo is AI. Like it has been a part of the DNA of what we do with our everything. I loved how you used that phased approach of like predictive AI to descriptive AI to prescriptive AI and then to generative. I think that also goes back to you, Lauren, of being like, this is a time of exploration. And how do we like bring each of those eras like into our AI usage? I thought that was really compelling from both of you. When it comes to planning, Lauren, specifically, how have you used AI for knowledge retrieval and testing?
Yeah, I'm really pleased that you brought up this question, because knowledge retrieval is something that we're really quite obsessed about at Sana. And I think our thesis here is that the real value of workplace AI is when the AI has context on all of your company's most up-to-date knowledge, and that should include verbal knowledge. And I think maybe I can talk about the verbal aspect first and then the up-to-date aspect of knowledge second. So starting with the verbal aspect, we believe that so much invaluable company knowledge gets exchanged verbally in meetings versus written documentation. And if you're a fast moving scale up, and I imagine we've got many in this virtual room here today who are, you're probably not hyper focused on documentation. Obviously it depends on the size and the scale and such, but maybe you're sharing your latest decision and your updates or your tactics on a quick call with someone, if not in a Slack message. So at Sana, we sort of took this insight and we believe that meetings are this untapped source of net new company data, and being able to capture and index that data is what can make employees much more effective and also more efficient. So when we were building our second product, our knowledge assistant called Sana AI, it was really important to us that the AI would be able to transcribe, summarize, index, retrieve, and analyze meetings, just like any other knowledge asset, like a document or a PDF. And I can give you an example of why this is so beneficial. So if you imagine you're a sales rep working on a new inbound deal, And let's say you've got 2 weeks between the intro call and the discovery call. Now, if you're a conscientious rep, you're probably thinking, how should this first meeting discussion impact my approach to the next one? But you've probably got tons of meetings in your calendar, right? So there's a lot to be thinking about. In this context, Sana AI can augment you because it helps you find that first meeting that you had. It can summarize the discussion points for you, suggest maybe some proactive rebuttals based on what the prospect was describing about their pain points on the call. And then it can draft an email with an agenda for the upcoming call. And it can give you all of the source citations for that. So, I mean, even if you're a very fast typer and you've got an outstanding memory, you're never going to be able to remember all of the details of every sales conversation. So we like to think about it as this idea of giving every single person in the company some kind of superhuman recall, but then letting you be the one that's acting on it to improve your outcomes. So we have all of our reps in the company that are using Sana AI daily for this. Do I have time to talk about the second point about up-to-date knowledge, Jen?
Please do. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I think this second point about, on the one hand, having retrieving knowledge that's verbal and might otherwise get lost, you also need to be thinking about, does the company have access to the most up-to-date knowledge? And I think that this is especially important for marketers to be thinking about, because I mean, I don't know the state of all of your teams, but often marketing is a content bottleneck to the entire organization, no matter how much we might try. And depending on the AI's sources for that content, you could be at risk of losing a lot of the messaging and positioning consistency, something that Saima was talking about by having the BDRs in the team, right? But if you're a fast-moving company, you probably haven't had time to deprecate or delete the 10 out-of-date documents on your product and company positioning that's like floating somewhere in Drive or God knows where. Yeah. So if we go back to the SDR example again, what this means is that when your SDRs are using your assistant to generate outreach emails, those emails are going to contain maybe product summaries or company summaries based on those 10 out-of-date docs, because the AI doesn't know which docs to include and which to ignore. Now, there are a few things that we've built into Sana AI specifically to mitigate this. I think the first one is the ability to actually focus the assistant's response to a single individual file. The second one is making it possible for you to create different assistants that then have a certain kind of set of documents that the assistant is taking knowledge from. And we're also thinking about how we can make the assistant proactively alert you to documents that might be out of date. But I think whatever tool you're using, I think it's important to think about whether you've got some processes in place to ensure that the AI is basing its answers and its content suggestions on your most up-to-date information, especially if you're planning on using it so that you can loan the marketing skills, especially in content creation, to other teams in the organization.
If I could just jump in, I echo everything you're saying, Lauren. I mean, the context of what is powering the AI is so key. The relevant nature of the data points is so critical, because again, the last thing we want to use AI to do is to create more of something that's not great, right? More bad emails for your BDR to send. No, nobody wants that, right? It is about taking the power of the AI to synthesize all that data that's out there, and then craft something great and that is consistent in quality and will, resonate to the person who it's going to. So 100% aligned with you. And it's interesting. Everyone on this panel talked about this a little bit, but we're kind of, it's very meta. We're all leveraging our own technologies and trying to really be the tip of the spear here in terms of generating use cases and proving it out. And I love that. I love that we're at the forefront. I'll speak for myself. At 6 Sense, running marketing at 6 Sense means I have to be the customer zero. I am got to be the best customer of the 6 Sense product line. And yes, we get access to early versions of everything. And so we've been using generative AI for over 3 years, but it's kind of cool to be able to try it, test it, iterate, and then share it with the world.
Fully agree there. For us at Superside, one way we're thinking about AI with marketing is like with our design system, or with, because I think all three of us oversee also like a lot of the creative work that comes out of our department. And obviously that's Superside's special sauce. But as we think about our design system or a future rebrand or a how are we using AI to make our design work easier, we're really looking at being like customer number one for like a generative brand system where you can create a model, a custom model that knows your brand better than anybody, any human. Like it's just that you can input your system in a way that allows the work to be, even if it's just 75% created, it's done like that rather than and then the humans always have to perfect it. We always need the human ideas and the human touch to perfect it. But we're also thinking about, like, from a creative perspective, how do we blend this into our marketing in a way that's extremely powerful? A next question, Saima, this one's for you. And it goes to a little bit about what we were just talking about, like how we use AI and when we don't use AI, and what is good and what is not, and what are the limitations of AI. But when it comes to using AI, how have you seen the human element play a role? And then how does the workflow work on your team with AI now being introduced?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thank you. So the beauty of AI, and we've kind of hit on this a little bit, is it should be able to augment what the humans are doing, take away repeatable tasks that maybe don't require so much thought and thinking, and augment and improve what is maybe a more time intensive task, like crafting the best personalized email or synthesizing all the information that's out there into something relevant. And so the product that we use, which is our own product, it's called conversational email. There's built-in workflows here. There is, as our AI assistant is taking the data that it knows about a prospect, not just what our company wants to say, but also historical context on past opportunities and what intent keywords that account is researching, and which personas are doing the research, and which buying stage they might be at. Are they just starting their journey, or are they actively in a buying cycle, right? All of that important context becomes really critical to then leverage in the initial outreach, as well as the replies that the AI is doing on behalf of our SDRs. And in each of those workflows, there is a human review that is available, right? Because we don't want to just set it and forget it. We want to, number one, obviously, when you're launching anything net new, test it and iterate it and refine it. But secondly, there will always be limitations, right? Maybe we'll get a detailed response sometimes from prospects, and the AI will, might not quite know how to respond to it. And in that case, it's flagged for human review. A BDR or an AE jumps in and takes the conversation from there. And that's just a critical point. As Lauren mentioned, so much of this is exploratory and early days. But I will say that we have generated 13% of our pipeline this past quarter autonomously using AI, which, if you had told me this a year ago, I would have said, get out of here. It's not going to happen. But 13% is very, very meaningful when you're running a marketing organization, and that pipeline is generated autonomously. And I think it is kind of the beauty of leveraging the guardrails and the human review as needed, and then iterating on the use cases, and then learning from that and going all in. And for us, we have moved from, a lot of co-pilots today tends to be a sort of, enhanced assistant for a specific task or a specific use case. And our workflow today now operates with quite a bit of independence at this point, performing end-to-end workflows from that initial, this is an account that is showing intent signals, to taking that account, crafting initial outreach, getting it to the point through back and forth emails to the point of somebody's ready to take a meeting. And only then is the human looped in to actually, schedule the meeting and get it on calendar.
And does it feel like what you're seeing, obviously, because as CMOs, as marketing directors, we're getting sold all the time. Like, people are reaching out to us as individuals all the time. Are you feeling and seeing that the quality of the work and the output and the writing feels human enough that it can carry that sales process?
It is. It's and again, 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have said
Mhm.
that, but
Mhm.
you know, the AI learns, it trains on obviously your data and your tone, and it's just evolved so much. And that, let's be honest, have you read some of the emails your BDRs are sending today? There is it's pretty consistent in quality. The AI will, your demand gen teams, I will say my demand gen team has a say in kind of the initial prompts and whatnot,
Yeah.
but the quality has been great. And it oftentimes we'll use it even as a selling tool when we do get that meeting to let the prospect know, guess what, by the way, that was all AI. And so,
Amazing.
the quality has been really consistent, really been great. And if anyone is interested, we've actually published our own internal playbook of how we're leveraging AI, and we've got about 7 use cases live today. I'll throw it in the chat, but
Yeah.
please, take a look. Again, we're always happy to share how 6 Sense uses 6 Sense and share the best use cases with the audience.
I love it. So we talked a little bit earlier about sort of testing out bad ideas, trying to find out what you want by first finding out what you don't want. Frankly, it's a lot like design. Sometimes, someone will put something in front of you and you'll be like, gosh, I didn't really know what I wanted until I saw what I didn't want. Like, I know I don't want it to look like that. And thus I want it to look like X, Y, and Z. But Lauren, have you seen this happen? Talk to me about that and how you guys are testing about that.
Weekly, if not daily. And I actually think that this is one of the best things that content creators and product marketers can be using AI for. I am yet to experience a situation where I'm ready to publish something that I've asked the AI to generate without any form of editing or some kind of refinement. And I think even if the AI's got access to your latest tone of voice docs, or you've uploaded past examples of some other asset that it can base its response on, like most of the time, like if you've got high standards for your content, that you might end up thinking like, this isn't quite good enough, at least not yet anyway. But I think that that's okay. I think that there's a lot of value in that process, because when AI is generating something for you and your spontaneous reaction is something's not right here, then it forces you to think about why. What is it about the sentence length or the tone or the structure, the order, the references, the level of detail that isn't sitting with you? And I think for me, that speeds up the process by which I can get to something that I do want, even if I'm the one that ends up doing the writing at the end. And I think that a sort of tangential benefit of this process is that it makes us better managers to our human team members as a consequence, because we're still at a stage where the more specific you can be when you prompt the AI, the more likely you are to get a good result on the other end. And that's just as true when you're delegating tasks to more junior team members. So I think there's this kind of introspective process that's happening when you're seeing something that either isn't what you expected or isn't quite what you want, that can either teach you something about the aspirations for the content that you haven't really been able to put into words, or that then can subsequently make you better at supporting your human team members in their processes as well.
I love that. That's at the beginning of the call, I said that I had come from D2C and now I'm in B2B, and B2B has won my heart. One of the reasons B2B has won my heart is because of that connection between sales and marketing. You don't often see that at other kinds of companies, but at B2B companies, there is such a direct impact between what marketing is doing on sales, on pipeline. And so I want to go back to you, Saima, and talk a little bit about what you guys are doing to generate that much pipe with AI. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, you told me that when we first met, and I was like, holy cow, how do we do that tomorrow? And so I think, like, we promised on this call, we would give people some like direct takeaways of like how they can start doing that. And you have a guide, and let's all go read that. But like on this call, what are some of those things that you guys are doing to make this happen?
Yes, and it didn't happen overnight. I just want to set that context. We've been doing
Nothing
this
good
for
ever
3
does.
years. And so, we've built over time, not just obviously our playbook, but also our confidence in letting the AI, do more and more use cases. So let's go back to the beginning. Why did we even need to do this, right? I like to, again, look at the data, and what we had seen, and we've seen this trend quarter over quarter, year over year, is this concept of B2B inflation. It is taking more touches to win deals, more contacts on, the buying group to win deals. Buyers are demanding a more personalized experience, and they're demanding responses now, right? So just let's kind of level set there. That reality on its own begs us to leverage AI to scale accordingly, because let's be honest, we're not getting more budget to hire more headcount, and we're not getting more budget to run more programs, right? So it really is about understanding that reality. And so for us, step one was, let's just take off some of those more repeatable automated tasks from our BDRs, right? Things like webinar follow-up, right? We run webinars. Do we need each BDR to now go do a specific outreach to the 500 attendees? It's a great use case for AI to take what is a fairly standard sort of outreach and get that automation to the point where now maybe the 10, 20% of those webinar attendees that are looking for a follow-up meeting can be uncovered using AI. And so we started with some repeatable use cases like that. One of the most successful use cases, and again, this is in the playbook that I linked to in the chat earlier, awaken the dead. So we recognize that there were closed lost opportunities from 6 months ago that we should probably start to re-engage. And if we had put our BDRs on it, some of them would have done it really diligently. Others might have been sidetracked by the existing demand coming into them every day. And so that was a great opportunity for us to automate a number of playbooks based on the closed lost reason for the deal, right? Was it closed lost because of timing, because of budget, because, they were unresponsive? And we were able to use some high value CTAs to try and re-engage them. And that was a great example of going a little bit more proactively into these accounts, but with a high value CTA, with a very sort of specific message based on what we knew about our interactions in the past. Since then, we've got use cases where all inbounds are now being worked by the AI assistant as a first touch. Our outbound prospecting on high intent accounts, we have AI being the first touch, and then the BDRs come in over the top with calls. And again, if they were emailing all day, there wasn't actually that much time for the BDRs to be calling. But now, by kind of doing this division of labor, they're spending more time on the phone with prospects, and that's helped us improve conversion rates. So again, it was about taking use case by use case, proving it out, refining based on what we're seeing. We did not go in with 7 to 10 use cases on day one or even year one, but it really was kind of building upon what we were learning and what we were seeing works. The other point I will say is, AI is the BDR that never sleeps. The responsiveness, right? It'll follow up. One of our early plays was no 6QA left behind. A 6QA is a qualified account. No qualified account left behind. I mean, if today you have leads or accounts that are showing high intent that your team isn't able to get to because of scale and capacity, great use case for AI to jump in there and make sure that all this great demand that marketing is creating is actually being worked. And so I would say, start with your existing problems. Is it scale? Is it capacity? Is it quality? Is it, not being able to go beyond kind of what the day-to-day is and think of net new use cases, and then just start and test and iterate. You'll be amazed by what you can find. I fully believe that, you can also generate 13% of your pipeline autonomously. And the BDRs are happy for it too, by the way. They're happy to be, spending more time personalizing and doing research, which, by the way, 6 Sense also is a great way for, we serve up account insights and contact insights using AI right in CRM for our sellers. And so it's another great use case of just taking what we know about that account, all the data points that Lauren mentioned, right? All this context that is there, but it might be in 3-4 different places. Let's bring it all into one place and recommend a next best action.
So we're coming up on time, which is crazy. It flew by. I want to get into sort of some meat and potatoes questions that I'm seeing in the chat. And so going back to you one more time, Saima, to wrap up what you were just talking about, what's a conversion action that makes the team decide to follow up with a human call after an AI realization? Or, is there a trigger that you receive from the AI that you're like, okay, cool, time to get a human on the phone with this contact?
Yes.
What are
And
they?
our software does this for us. It's basically, for us, the conversion action is somebody has indicated they are ready to take a meeting. That is the
Okay.
point where then it's considered a qualified conversation. The BDR or the AE, you can actually bypass BDRs entirely in that case. You can route it to a specific field on your account record. Is it account owner? Is it the BDR? Whoever you want, loop in that person and have them take it from there. So that's our main conversion action.
And then people have a lot of questions about what tools we're using. Like someone said out there, and I totally agree with this. We talk about this so much at Superside. I am drowning in the AI tools. What are the ones I should try first? Whether it's through content optimization or imagery creation or, your actual, like, what tools, apart from the tools that your own company provides, what, if any, tools do you find your team leaning on most heavily with AI? Lauren,
I mean, we really are leaning very, very heavily on our own two tools. Because in the learning platform, we have kind of DALI and these kinds of image generation tools built in. Sana AI can operate across the full range of use cases. I mean, we're experimenting with lots of other different tools also from, a competitor interest point of view and such, just staying ahead of the curve. But I'm not really seeing anything else that's kind of stuck at the moment. Yeah, we're pretty biased at the moment, I'm afraid.
I would agree. I mentioned, AI that generates pipe, not hype. So we are using conversational email, our own tool. But I will say we are customers of a tool called Writer, and our content team is leveraging that to help, again, generate more content. It's been really helpful for that team.
And we are too, actually. We're using Writer as well. The team feels like it definitely helps take copywriting to the next level. We also hear, like, this is kind of a boring answer, GPT-4 and OpenAI's API is so much more powerful than people realize. If you just tap in a couple of levels deeper and invest in really getting to know it. Gong and Gemini,
We also use Gong.
Absolutely. And just even reading through those calls are so informative. Like, I literally make my marketing team listen to those. And the beauty is, like, a tool like Gemini that we use here, like, it tells you what happens at what point in the conversation, what topics come up, and we use that for our marketing. It informs our talking points and informs our ads that we create. Yeah. And then Jasper AI and Writer for us are also big, big tools that we lean on. You guys, we're at time. I can't
flew by.
believe it. I want to give you both an opportunity for a closing statement or thought. Like, if anything has come up during this conversation that you feel like is really important for our audience to take away. I think there's been some great learnings, but any final thoughts from either one of you?
I think something that perhaps we would have touched on if we'd had a little bit more time, like following Saima's explanations of the lead gen, is that you can really involve your BDRs like in this experimentation process. We had some members like building a bot that was sending automated cadences, like pulling in data from Crunchbase and G2, etc. They tried it. They saw some areas where they were a little bit concerned about some punctuation errors or things like that. They then thought, okay, what other ways could we use our own tool to improve our own outreaches? They've since developed their own prompts and their own templates, which they're using around the whole team. And it becomes this, it's not just something that's being imposed on top down, but rather like facilitating bottom up experimentation, I think is a really great way to, infuse AI in the company without having to try so hard.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And I would add to what Lauren, I feel like I've said that 10 times, but just to add to what you said, because, I think we're so aligned in our thinking, like, what problem you need to solve for your company today, right? start there. You don't have to just be on the AI bandwagon because everyone is. You can solve real business problems with this. Is it capacity? Is it scale? Is it, there's a content bottleneck, like Lauren mentioned? Whatever the issue is, there are tools out there that can help you. Always, I think, have a measurement plan in place, a test plan in place, and then be brave and be bold.
I hope you enjoyed that session from our virtual event, The Infinite Canvas, exploring AI's creative potential. There's plenty more to learn, so be sure to check out the rest of the sessions. Otherwise, head over to superside.com for more on AI and its impact on marketing and creative. Thanks for watching.